Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. It's the Wednesday before half term, too, so you must be pretty excited about that. Welcome to your geography lesson. I'm just going to share my screen and we can get started. So today is not the 9th, Mrs. Madison. It is the 10th. See, I'm just doing that because I know one of you would do that if we were in the classroom. So I'm trying to make it as real as I can. So it is the 10th of February 2021. And today we're going to be learning to describe where we live. So you will probably need someone at home to talk to for part of this lesson, just to help you understand where your address is and all these things we're going to be talking about. So if there's an adult or an older sibling nearby, ask them if they can give you a little bit of help during this lesson or maybe after the video if they have some time. Okay, so we're going to get started with our just checking. So question number 1, remember you can get a piece of paper, you can get a pencil to write this down, or you can just answer the screen. You can pause the video and just share it with me if you want. So number 1, what town do we live in? We've talked about this quite a bit this term, and we did a whole unit on it last term when we learned about the biscuit factory. So what town do we live in? Has a name and it starts with an R. And just pause the video, have a little go, write it down, share it with a friend or someone at home, or just share it with me. Okay, number 2, true or false? An urban area, we talked about this last week, an urban area is an area with lots of buildings and roads. Is that true or false? And give yourself a bit of time so you can pause the video. And question number 3 from last term. What do most farm animals eat in the winters? What do they eat in the winters? We talked about how they eat grass in the summer, but what's that dried out grass that they eat in the winters? You can pause the video, have a go at writing it down, or have a go at sharing it with me. And finally, something we learned last year, our school is called, what is the name of our school? Great, and welcome back. We're going to take it up together. So what town do we live in? That town is Reading. So give yourself a tick if you said Reading. Give yourself another tick if you remember to put a capital letter on it because it's the name of a place. True or false? An urban area is an area with lots of buildings and roads. That is true. Do you remember the name of the place if it's countryside? It's rural with a sound in it. I think my accent doesn't let me say it very clearly. Rural would be countryside, and urban is like the city. What do most animals eat in the winters? That is called hay. Hay with the AY digraph because it comes at the end of a word. Phase 5, you should know that. And from last year, our school is called the Palmer Academy. And give yourself an extra point if you remember to put a capital letter on Palmer and Academy because it's the name of our school. So well done on our just checking. And let's move along. So remember this term, our big question has been all about where do you live? So we've talked about the places that we live that are quite big, like how we live on planet Earth and how we live in Europe and how we live in the United Kingdom and how we live in England. And now each time we talk about it, we're getting smaller and smaller and smaller to a smaller place. So last week we talked about our town Reading. So this week we're going to talk about your address, like my address for Mrs. Madison, your address for Tanisha, your address for Shania, your address for Zion. So it's going to be a really special lesson this week because it's all about you and your home. Now, just to review those 2 new terms that we learned last week. So we said the countryside is rural and the city with buildings and roads is urban. That's right. So those are 2 new words that we've learned, and we're going to keep practicing them as we go into next term as well, because they're really important words. Now, we talked about how Reading last week is quite an urban area. So some of you might, if you live outside of Reading, I think George, you live on a farm, you've got a farm nearby, so you might be in a rural area. But most of us will be in an urban area because we live kind of near town or in Whitley or in neighborhoods. The next word we're going to use today is our address. So your address is the place where you live. And there's usually a number and a name of a place where you live. So we'll talk about that a little bit more today, but that's an address. So 3 important words that we need to know for our lesson today. All right, so today we will be learning to describe where we live, and you are very good at using adjectives and describing words, so I think you'll be really good at this task. Okay, so every building has an address so that it can be easily identified. Addresses usually have a house number or a name, a road name, a town, a county, and a postcode. So you can see a picture. What's this picture of? Pause the video, tell me what you see. Tell me how you know it's that picture as well. So welcome back. So that's right, we have a parcel, a little parcel, or a letter, and we can tell it's a letter because we can see these up in the corner. What are those called? Stamps. That's right. You can see the stamps, they have the Queen on them. And it must have been traveling quite far because it has 1, 2, 3 stamps on it. And right in the center here is where we write our address. So that's where our address goes. Let's see if Mrs. Madison's getting any better with the pen. We're getting there. It's more legible now. I don't think it's quite year 1 writing, but you guys could do year 1 writing. So our address has to go on the parcel, and that's how the postman knows where to bring the parcel or the letter. So today you're going to be working with an adult in your house, unless you already know this, to find out what your home address is. And we'll go back to that a little bit later. So let's have a look at our local area. Can you see the road that you live on and what other roads are nearby? Let me just pause. Okay, we're back. So we're going to have a look at this little map. So this is just a picture that I've taken from Google Maps, and it's a picture of the area where the Palmer Academy is. So if I circle on my map, there's the Palmer Academy. You can see our field right over there. Here's Northumberland Avenue, where lots of us might walk to go to school if we're coming through the front gates. And then over here, I think is our back gates. So have a look around on the map. We've got Reading Girls School down here, so we might recognize that. This is that roundabout to go down Buckland Road. So if you live really close to the school, you might notice your street on the map. And if you can sit with an adult to help you to find your street where you live, they can help you to point it out on the map. Now, if you can't see your street on this part of the map, that's no problem. Remember how we went on Google Maps last week? And I'll show you how to do it again. You can go on Google Maps and type in your own address, and you can actually find your own house on Google Maps, which is really cool. So if you can't see your address on this street, sit with an adult or an older sibling, and you can go on Google Maps and you can see exactly where your house is. I bet a lot of you did that last week when you did your searching of Reading. So you can find your address on Google Maps if it's not here, but it might be featured on this one. How would you describe the road you live on? So think about where you live when you're walking home from school. How would you describe that road? We talked a lot about describing last week. We said, is it a busy street? Is it a quiet street? Are there lots of cars and buses? Are there lots of traffic? Is there a park nearby? Do you have lots of houses or do you have flats? So have a think about what your street looks like. And I'd like you to pause the video and just have a chat. You can share it with me on the screen. You can write it down on a piece of paper, or you can share it with an adult or an older sibling at home, or one of your reading buddies, your talking buddies, remember? And if you have you might even have where is she? A sleeping dog nearby who will want, shall we talk about where we live, Stevie? Yeah? It's a quiet street, isn't it? You wouldn't be able to sleep if it wasn't quiet. It's a quiet street except when Stevie's on it, when she's out making noise. So pause the video, have a little chat about what your street is like, and then come back to me and you can share it with me. And welcome back. So what's your street like? Is it busy? Is it quiet? Do you have flats? Do you have houses? Oh, maybe there's something nearby. Maybe you live near shops. I'd like to live near some shops. Maybe you have a park nearby too. Well, there's all different kinds of places where we can live as well. We're going to keep those ideas in our head because we're going to need them in a bit. Okay, so here's some questions to get you started. So I'm going to give you a question, and after each question, I'm going to put my hand up like this, and that tells you to pause the video, and I want you to try to answer that question. You can answer it out loud, or I wouldn't write it down because there's lots of questions I'm going to ask you, but I want you to have a think and answer either to me on the screen, or you can answer it to someone at home. So is it busy or quiet where you live? Is your road near the seaside? We wish. I don't think we have the seaside in Reading. I don't think any of us would say that it's near the seaside, but you might say if you're near a river, maybe your road is near water. It might be near the river. Is your road near a park? Is your road near your school? If you can walk to school, you can probably say your road is near school. What is there along your road? So that was like when I asked you, do you have houses? Do you have flats? Do you have shops along your road? So what do you see when you're walking along your road? Is there a lot of traffic? And traffic is another word for cars and buses or lots of vehicles along your road. Is there a lot of traffic, or is it quite calm and quiet? Is it flat or is it hilly? Do you have to walk up to get to your house, or is it quite flat, the road? What are the buildings like? So again, are they big buildings? Are they quite short buildings? Do you have big flats? Maybe you live in an estate, so you've got lots of flats around you. What are the buildings like nearby? And finally, are there shops close by, or do you have to drive or take the bus to get to them? Great. So lots of questions to have answered and to have thought about where we live. And I hope, remember, when you saw my hand go up, you needed to pause the video and have a go at answering those questions. So if you didn't get a chance to answer, you were just listening to me, I want you to go back a bit and I want you to pause it and try it again. All right. Are you ready to go and do some work on your local area on your own? I think you are. You've done a great job so far. Okay, so on Teams, we have a copy of this for you. That's a PDF. So if you want to print it out, you can. If you don't have a printer, you just want to take a little picture of it, it's available on there as well. So this is a profile on where you live. So you have a few questions that you have to answer about where you live. So an adult can help you with those. And then you get to be quite creative and do some drawing as well. So it says, my road is called. So it's the name of your road. My house name or number is, and you can write it down there. My house is in the town of Reading. This is what my house is like. So you might say my house is a flat, or you could say my house is a terrace house. So that means I have long houses on either side of my house. This is what my road is like. And we've talked a lot about our road. So if you said it was busy or noisy or has a park nearby, this is where you could write a little something special about your road. And finally, the best bit is you get to draw your road. So this down here is a little street sign. So if I was writing my road and I live on Northumberland Road, I could write the name of it. So I bet when you go outside, next time you go for a walk outside, see if you can notice the street sign. So you can write the name of your street right on the sign, and then you can draw your street. So my street has lots of terrace houses on it. So I'm going to draw all those terrace houses. Some of them are quite tall. Mine's quite short, but that's all right. And they have two windows at the top, and they have a window at the front and a little door beside it. So I'm going to draw all those houses. You're going to take your time. They'll be neater than my drawings. I know they will. Oh, and they have numbers. So mine's 18. So I'm going to have 16, 14. Make sure I put those house numbers on. And if you have some space, you can draw what your street is like. So if you live near shops, maybe you won't have all these houses. Maybe you'll have some shops. Maybe you'll have some flats. And that's what's going to make our work so special today, is that everybody lives in different places. So all of our pictures of our streets are going to look different and special. So you've got some good challenges to work on today. And when you're done, you can take a picture of your work and you can upload it to the Teams page. And I'm going to go to Teams in a minute and just show you what you need to do. I'll probably do that for the lessons for this week and next week, because I know it's hard to get used to it. So I like to see it to when I'm doing things. So I thought that might be helpful. And when you're done, I have a stretch challenge for you. And this one's really cool. You're going to need an adult probably to help you with this. So it says, when you send a letter or a parcel in the post, it's important that we learn to write our address properly. So we've got a really good example of how we would address a letter. So you can work with an adult or a sibling or a partner to write your own address on a letter. You're going to pretend you're sending a letter to yourself. Or you can send it to Stevie and pretend she lives at your house, because she would love that as well. So it shows you at the top, you have to put the name of the person you're sending the letter to. Then you have to put your address. Then you have to put your town, which is, that's right, it's Reading. See, great memories. So clever, you guys. And then our county is, if you're in Reading, our county is Berkshire. I used to call it Berkshire when I moved here from Canada, because we say things a little differently over there, but I'm glad I now know that it is Berkshire. And then at the bottom, you're going to put your postcode. So there's lots of things you'll need to write your letter properly. If you have an envelope at home, you can write it on an envelope, but if you don't, you can just make your own envelope with a piece of paper and some tape. That's really fun as well. And you can learn to write your own address. So you will need a bit of adult help for this stretch challenge, or an older sibling, but it's really, really fun. And then you can write a special letter to go inside it too, if you have some time. So you've got lots of fun challenges today. This is the main one that you want to do. You're going to draw your street. You can probably draw your street all by yourself without an adult helping you. And then if you need a bit of help for the top bit, just find an adult when they have time. They can help you learn your address. And then finally, your stretch challenge, if you want to do it, is to address your own letter with your address. So it'll be really, really great. And let me stop sharing this bit now. Now I'm just going to take you to, I'll take you first to Google Maps if it's open. So here we are. So just on the internet, you can go, see if it will take me back. So if you search Google Maps, just like last week, if you haven't used it, just click on it. And then at the top in the box, you can just put your address in. And once you put your address in, it'll take you to that area, and you can use the plus and the minus down here to zoom in and out. And if you want to take your little person to visit, remember, as long as there's either a blue circle or a blue road, you can drop yourself there to see an actual photo of it. Oh, so look, we've ended up on the, we're in the countryside. Oh, and a wind turbine. How perfect. Lovely. So we're in the countryside. We've gone rural now. But you can go anywhere you want in Reading. So you can find your own address on the map. I'll stop sharing that. And now I'm going to share, hopefully, Teams with you. There we go. So if I share with you the year 1 Teams, all your work for today, you're going to go over here to the left-hand side. Geography is a foundation subject. So just click on foundation. And then up at the top, we click files. And you will see geography. And then you can choose our date today. So it's week 6 and it's got the 10th of the 2nd. And then we've got, these are the slides. So if it looks like a little piece of paper turning, you can click on that and download it. So that's the images I just showed you for my video. You can get those on Teams. And then you also have the resource. So if you just click on it there, you've got that page that you can use or work off of, okay? So what we want to see is a lovely picture of your street. And then as long as you label somewhere on that paper, your road, your house name and number, the town, what your house is like, and what your road is like, you might need a bit of help with those questions, then you're good to go. And so if I close that and go back to foundation subjects, you'll see there's a little assignment for you that you can click on for geography. And once you click on the assignment, it will open up that Microsoft Word page, and you can just upload a photo like you have been doing for your other projects. And once you hit submit, your teacher will get it. You don't need to email it. And it tells you right away that it's been sent, and it's been sent by you. And I love seeing all your photos because I get to choose new work each week to put in the newsletter. So make sure you're paying attention to the newsletter on Friday. And I'm so excited to see how all of your homes are different. They're all different, but they're all special. So it's pretty special, pretty grown up that you're learning your address today if you don't already know it. Our address is an important thing to know as well, because if we were to ever get lost, we wouldn't, because we'd all stick close to our families. But if we were at the park and we got separated, or we were in town and we got separated from our families, it's really important to know our address so you could go and find a community helper, like a police officer or someone who works in a shop. They could help you so that you can get home. So it's important safety for us to learn our address. And now that we're 5 and 6, I think we can definitely do it. So happy drawing today. Well done on your geography. We're at the end of our geography unit this term. So I think next term we might have history again, which would be very fun. So we'll have to see what we're learning next term. And keep up the good work. Really proud of you. Keep being amazing. And we'll see you tomorrow.